Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. So NPE is very clear. They don't want us talking a long time about who we are, but I will spend just a couple minutes because I don't even think people know I'm from Canada. So nobody really knows who I am. I'll take a few minutes just to tell you why I'm here and where I come from. That's me, Cam Roberts. So I have a line striping business. In Canada, we don't call it striping. We call it line painting. But I have a line painting business up in Canada. I started it not long ago, 2018. February 2018. So I basically had this idea for starting a line painting business because in the town that I lived in, there was like literally one guy painting parking lots for 30 years. Like he was there forever, old, crusty guy. And I worked at a shopping mall, and we hired him once because we had a pretty large shopping mall. It was like 600 parking spaces, and it was a gong show. Like, total disaster. This guy was not pleasant to deal with. I was only 20, 21 at the time, so I wasn't directly involved in hiring him, but I interacted with him, and I was like, my goodness, if this is the only guy who's painting parking lots in this town, like that's crazy. I started looking, right, like there's a lot of parking lots. So I sat on this idea for my own striping business for about 7 years, and it was 2018. I was working in the glass industry, and I was off work for like 5 weeks. I put my hand in a table saw, which I don't recommend you do. I kind of shortened my thumb a little bit. These two fingers were actually, they didn't come clean off, they were kind of dangling, but they sewed them back on. Anyways, that's a funny story. But while I was off work, I don't do well sitting around. Is everyone here a business owner? Is anyone here not a business owner? Okay, that's good. I'm glad you guys are here too. There'll be some really good tactical stuff. But yeah, I don't know what other business owners are like, but I don't do well sitting still. Like, I tell my wife I was close to having ADHD without actually having it. Like, I just like to be busy. So when I was off work entering my business, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start that striking thing. Because like, I just think now's the time. I was sitting around bored, had just enough money to buy a brand new striper. Literally didn't have enough money for a truck. I was towing my first striper right go behind my minivan. And I wish I had pictures of it, but for some reason I didn't take pictures back then. So I'd show up to job sites with a 6-foot motorcycle trailer behind my Dodge Minivan, which makes me feel like a total winner when you do that, and all the guys are like, oh my gosh, who did we hire to paint this new parking lot? So, long story short, yeah, I totally blew through that, sorry, I'm in Prince George, BC, Canada, so it's like smack dab in the middle of British Columbia, just above Washington. It's about 7 hours north of Vancouver. We had a lot of snow, short striping season up there. So I started this business literally just to make extra money. Like, there was no plan, no vision, no mission. It was just, there's one guy doing this and I can do it better. That was the plan. So the following year, I'd done so well my first year, just part-time, I decided to quit my job. So I left the glass industry. Again, I didn't really have a plan. I just had a hunch that, like, I think I can make this work. And I have no problem telling you it was probably a stupid decision because I had no data to back up if I should quit my job. I had 2 kids at home. It was a bit of a risky decision, but it was a hunch. And thankfully, the hunch paid off. So 2019, went full-time with my business. And then the business has grown every year since. So I started doing like about 25, 30 grand the first year part-time. That's Canadian, so like 20 grand American. Next year when I quit my job, I bumped it up to around 90,000 in our striping season. And it's grown every year, anywhere between 2 to 4 times since then. So now, this year, our goal was to do $1 million, we did 1.2 million last year. So that's a blend of both striping and we're big into snow removal too, because it snows a lot around. As this paragraph says, I love my business. Like, the company's called Laser Line Painting. I love it. I love our people. I love what we're building. I love that we're different. But what I'm most passionate about is this, like helping other people. And I'm not the most qualified. I have no problem saying that. There's people here at this expo who just run phenomenal businesses. And hopefully you got to listen to some of these people speak. But even though I'm probably not the most qualified, my goal is to just bring something of value to you guys. And I'm convinced that somewhere along my 5 years, I can share something with you that'll hopefully help. So yeah, I have a line striping podcast. I'm repping. Whoa, oh my goodness. Can everyone hear me? Holy cow, I scared myself. Don't yell at the mic. So this is my podcast. I started that a year and a half ago. Sorry for yelling in your face. Yeah, I also run some virtual training academies for, mostly for striping business owners, but some seal coaters as well. I do some one-on-one coaching as well. That's the most I'm going to talk about that because I don't want to promote that, which is no problem. Okay. I'm going to go through these quick questions. I already asked this. We have mostly business owners here. I saw some hands over there who are not. Yeah? Okay. Here's kind of a unique question, but it's going to help me understand a little bit better for our afternoon here. So, of the business owners who are here, the company that you're with now, was this your first, I wrote significant, I didn't know what other word to put. Was this your first significant business? So, have you had a business, has anyone here had a business before that did more than $50,000 in revenue? Okay, a couple of them. Right on. Okay. Anyone who didn't? Like this is your first significant business? Yeah? Okay, so I empathize with you guys because I was the same way. I had little goofy side hustles, but yeah, some of us don't come from a business background, right? We figure it out as we go. Don't put your hands up for this question because it's a weird one. And I'll explain what it means. If you are a business owner, do you struggle with being emotionally invested in the people, decisions, and outcomes of the business? I want you to think about that for a little bit. What I mean by that is, do you find yourself during the highs and the lows in your business of making decisions that you're making out of emotion? So if things are tough, financially, no cash flow, whatever, do you find yourself making snap decisions because you're stressed? All right, let's talk about head nods. So what happens, and the reason why I'm speaking to you about building your business with intention, is I believe most businesses, especially in our space, are lacking a little bit of intention with the decisions we make. I'm susceptible to this in a huge way. When things are tough, like, I don't outwardly freak out, I'm a pretty calm dude, but like internally, man, I'm twigging out. And I will make poor decisions in my business, and I have, because I'm making an emotional decision, right? When the highs are high, awesome, when the business is doing good. But if things are low, cash flow issues, people issues, client issues, whatever, that's when I feel the stress, and I make less than ideal decisions. So my goal here today with what we're going to talk about with these three core topics is hopefully put a little bit of intention into those subject matters. This is what intentional means. Something of intention is an action that's performed with awareness. It's something done deliberately, consciously, or on purpose. You make a lot of decisions as a business owner. And I call it like sometimes we suffer from something called decision fatigue. Like, you make so many decisions, it's hard to sometimes keep up. And because we make so many decisions, sometimes we might not make the most ideal decision intentionally, right? We sometimes lack something done deliberately. So what that might look like is you're on the floor here this weekend, and you see a shiny new piece of equipment. You weren't planning on buying one, but you see it, and you decide to buy it, right? Because you think it's a good idea, you have a hunch, but you don't have intention behind it. If you bought something here today, I'm sorry. I know some people will bought this stuff. I'm going to talk just for a little bit, and if you saw the handout before you might get the idea. I'm a football fan. Is anyone here a football fan? NFL football? Anyone here not a football fan? It's okay. I promise you don't have to leave. Like, it'll be fun. I'm going to talk a little bit about NFL football, even though I'm Canadian. I should be talking about hockey, but I'm going to talk about football. Because there's something to be learned in business from the National Football League. So even if you're not a fan, I think you'll appreciate it. So when I was putting this slide together, I literally just picked the first image I found from Google. So no intention, I just grabbed an image, put it on here. But then I started looking at it a little bit about how an NFL football team uses intention in everything they do. So have a look at this image. If you know nothing about football, I'll give you a quick version. So at any given moment, there's 11 players on the field for your offense, at least in the NFL, and 11 players on defense. So this image here is just a generic play from the National Football League. So even if you don't know what it means, I'll kind of give you like a super quick version here. This is your quarterback, this is your running back. Presumably we have two wide receivers here, and this guy's probably a tight end. Looks like we have two tight ends in an offensive line. This is your defense. The reason why I like football, even though I'm Canadian and I'm supposed to watch hockey, is because these 22 guys that are on the field, when the ball is snapped, it's literally 4 seconds of organized chaos. Like, 22 guys have 22 different assignments, and literally the average NFL play is 4 seconds. They have 4 seconds to do exactly what they're supposed to do in one play. And then over the course of the game, they'll run multiple plays. So in this particular play, we have two receivers. They have their job is to run up this way, and it looks like they're running a post route. This guy's running towards there. This guy's going to cut around the same time to the boundary. That's their job. These two tight ends, looks like this guy's going to block. The whole offensive line is going to block this way to the right. And the reason why is because this running back is going to go to the right as well. This guy on the end here, he's also going to block, but then you see this little line that goes up that way. So he's going to throw a little chip block or something, and then he's going to run out. We call that a wheel route. In the NFL, he's going to run up that way. And then the quarterback, he's actually going to run backwards, fake a handoff to the running back, and then I think this is really stupid, but he's going to try and throw all the way across the field to hit this guy. I think it's stupid because that's a long way to throw the ball. Or he might throw it to one of those guys. The reason why I love the NFL is because when these guys are in the huddle, figuring out this play, when the quarterback relays the play, he's going to say something so outrageously stupid to you and I that literally makes no sense. Okay? So an NFL play call might be something like 32 stick, Viper cross X, slide right on 3. So to you and I, we're like, what does that mean? To them, all 11 of those guys know exactly what they have to do. Right? And it's the same with the defense. So we don't see where they're supposed to go, but all 11 of these guys, they have an exact assignment. In 4 seconds, they know what they got to do. Right? So if one guy blows his assignment, or hears the play wrong, or does something wrong, play falls apart. So on offense, this guy might be left wide open because this safety went the wrong way. Now you have a touchdown. That could lead to the game being over. That leads to the playoffs. That leads to the Super Bowl. A lot happens in 4 seconds. These guys put a lot of work to being on an NFL football team. The average NFL play, as I mentioned, lasts 4 seconds. That means over the whole game, these guys play one game a week. Over the whole game, you're actually only watching 11 minutes of game time. All the other time, the clock is just running on the side. So this is way different than other sports. Basketball, hockey, soccer, they actually play a full 60 minutes or 48 minutes. So the question I have for you is, what do you think, how much work do you think goes into getting themselves intentionally ready for those 4 seconds? Has anyone here been in the NFL? Okay, good, because I feel like an idiot. Good. I have not been in the NFL, but I do know enough to know that at the highest level of football, the NFL, they spend a massive amount of time preparing, studying, analyzing, practicing, effort, all with the idea of putting intention into the athletes and the teams of that sport for them to compete. So literally one game a week on Sunday, often they'll take Mondays off, but the rest of the week, you know what NFL teams are doing, players? Practicing, studying, film review. Coaches have meetings with other coaches. They break down the film of the team that they're playing the next week. They go back, watch every single play. They'll spend hours and hours and hours coming up with a unique game plan, modifying those play calls, coming up with a plan, all for 11 minutes. They will spend an entire week, a whole staff of people, not to mention the athletes who are practicing, right? They go and practice all those things. They have to study as well. So the question I put here is, why would we run our business without the same level of intention, the same level of preparation, analyzing, training, intention? I can't speak for you guys, but when I started my business, it was fun, right? It's cool, especially if it's a part-time business. You have fun with it. But as your business grows, if you're only relying on what you think is the right thing to do, and you're not putting in time to study, prepare, analyze data, the unsexy things about running a business, we're lacking intention. And and our businesses will not grow and scale as fast as we would like to because we're not putting in that level of attention. I think there's a lot to be learned from, well, pretty much any sport, but football is a really good example. So over the course of today, I only have three core topics we're going to talk about here, and how we can grow our business with intention. So I picked three because I didn't want to overwhelm. I think these three will be helpful regardless of your business size. This first one here about reverse engineering your goals. If you have a larger business, like does anyone here have a business like doing more than $500,000 a year? Okay, most of you, cool, okay. That's no problem. So we'll still spend a little bit of time on this because even if you have a larger business, there's still something to be learned here from reverse engineering our goals. I chose an image here of Mount Everest. I call this How to Climb Mount Everest. I'm hoping no one here has climbed Mount Everest before. Okay, good. Because same thing, I've never done it, so I hope it don't sound like Mount Everest is no small feat. Right? On this picture, it looks easy. Right? Go to the top. You know how many people die trying to climb Mount Everest? Crazy. And yet people will still try. Lots of people have died. Now, even if you're an experienced mountain climber, or whatever you whatever they're called, right? You still have to put a lot of preparation to climbing this mountain. Literally, your life depends on it, right? You won't make it if you just wing it. So now, if you're a mountain climber and you're climbing like a little mountain, I don't know if there's mountains around here, but you might not have to put that much preparation into it. You don't really have to reverse engineer what you're going to do, because, okay, it's a little mountain. Maybe it takes you a day, whatever, I can climb that. Mount Everest is a different type of challenge because it takes days and days and days to climb this mountain. So what climbers of Mount Everest will do, I researched this and learned about it, the amount of practice that they put in into analyzing how am I going to do this, they will spend a lot of time. And you see on this picture, like what they do is they create base camps. Literally got a little picture of a tent there. And not every route is the same. So it's not like every single person who climbs Mount Everest does this. It depends on the time of year, it depends on the weather forecast, lots of things go into it. But they reverse engineer, how do I get from here to up there? That's the goal, right? Get to the summit. And they reverse engineer all the steps needed. So which route are we going to take? What are we going to do when the wind changes direction? What do we do if the temperature is colder than this? What do we do if we run out of food at this point? What do we do if this area that we were going to climb over here is like can't path through it? And they come up with this plan and they reverse engineer everything into steps. Right? So as business owners, I think we should do the same thing. So I have in a couple slides here, this is pretty, I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time on this because some of you guys have larger businesses already. But I'm hoping that in this one very simplified example, I can get you to start thinking a little bit about, like, how can I actually start taking my goals, whether it's a sales goal, a hiring goal, whatever it is, and actually break it down into actionable steps. Base camps, as I like to call them. So in this example, I'm using not big numbers, just something simple to kind of get you guys thinking of what that looks like. So I want you to pretend that you're a small asphalt contractor. I don't like the term small business, but whatever. Okay, let's say last year, 2022, you're a small company, you did $100,000 in revenue. Maybe you're a one-man band. That's pretty good. Now you want to try and double your business to $200,000. An unintentional business owner would use the same things that I used to do. A hunch, a guess. If somebody asked me, are you going to double your business? Yeah, I think I'm going to double my business. That's my goal. But trust me, in working with business owners now, in striping industry specifically, if you challenge a business owner on how they're going to reach that goal. So what I mean is, if I asked you, okay, you're going to double the 200,000, what does that look like? How are you going to do that? If you get a blank look, maybe we're lacking some intention, right? Don't use an intuition, a hunch, or like the potential for a large sale as how you're going to reach that goal. So instead, if you look at the second point here, this is how an intentional business owner could reverse engineer their goal, doubling their business, going from 100 to 200 by using those base camps. You analyze that over your last year, in this hypothetical example, to get $100,000 in revenue, you send out 100 invoices. if we were to average that out, 100 invoices, that means your average project value was $1,000, right? That was 100 invoices. If the average was 1,000, we have $100,000 credit. You also analyze that to get those 100 projects that you successfully did, you had to send out 200 quotes. So you log into your QuickBooks, or hopefully you're not using paper estimates, but you're like, I send out 200 quotes. You're using paper estimates? No, there's no judging if you are, it's fine, whatever. Right? Hey, once upon a time I did too, that's no problem. Yeah, I sent out 200 estimates, I won 100 jobs, so I'm closing or winning 50% of my jobs. Right? So, to accomplish $200,000, because we want to double our business here, right? At the same average project value, you now have to win 200 projects at the same average project value, right? So if you still are winning 50% of your bids, you now have to send out 400 quotes, not 200, because we're assuming we're winning half of it, right? So how are you going to accomplish that task of doubling the amount of quotes that you send out from 2022 to 2023? That's a big jump, especially if you're one-man band or smaller business. It might only take you like 15 minutes to get this data. I don't expect anyone to actually know, but could anyone here find out your average project value fairly quickly?
I know what
You know where yours is?
Yeah, I check it at the end of every year. How many contracts we land to our gross and figure out that many.
Yeah. You want to share approximately, roughly? Oh my God.
It's $1,091.
I said approximately, bro. $1,091. Holy cow. You're doing better than me. I know approximately ours was $4,700. So if you do a lot of residential work, your average project value is probably smaller. If you do a lot of commercial work like we do, it goes up. Good for you, man. That's awesome. So can anyone else here, could you go find your average project value information? You have a way of doing that? Anybody? Yeah? Okay. In our company, we have a CRM tool. It's called Nutshell. All of our leads go into it. It literally, on the homepage, it tells me what percentage we're winning at. It's the coolest thing. We won 62% last year. Average project. It also tells me the average project value on the front too. It's very cool. So if you have no idea, you've never looked at your average project value info before, and believe me, I'm a huge believer in this. I teach this a lot in the academy. If you have no idea, it's not going to take you that long to figure it out, right? Amount of invoices divided by amount of revenue, right? But just understanding that information gets you on the path to figuring out the base camps or the steps. Reverse engineering, how are we going to double our business next year? So for example, good question to ask yourself in this scenario. If you're in this situation, you want to double your business, do you have the time to double your amount of proposals? Right? Maybe you don't even know, which we'll talk about in the second core topic with our time. But if you think that you don't have the amount of time to double the amount of quotes you send out, literally from 200 to 400, we have to do something. Number one, there's a number of things we could do, but here's two big ones. Number one, you can raise your average project value, right? So instead of $1,091, $1,591, right? That means if we raise our average project value, we don't have to send out as many quotes, right? Because we're winning higher dollar value tasks. Or number two, you can create the time that you need by delegating some of the tasks in your business to somebody else. So you can now have the time to pursue the 400 quotes, the 400 leads that you need to do that. Or maybe you delegate somebody to go get those quotes out for you, salesperson. I throw this in brackets here. We're going to talk about time blocking. Because if you don't know how much time you're spending right now on sending out quotes, that's okay. I didn't used to know either. I had no idea, but I was just doing it. But if you don't know, it's going to be hard for you to understand, do I have the time to double the amount of quotes I send out? If you don't know how much time you're spending now, it's going to be hard for you to know, can I double my quotes? So we'll talk about that in the next topic. So again, intentional business owners, we don't want to just assume that we can double our business, right? Or if we're talking about, I know there's non-business owners here, so if whatever your job is, operations, number of projects completed a week, whatever task we're trying to reverse engineer, right? Don't just assume that you can do it. We want to put intention behind it. So what would doubling our proposals that we send out actually look like? Assuming you have like a 10-month season, I just picked that for round numbers. If we're gonna send out those 400 proposals, that means we gotta send out 40 a month. Right? But if you also feel that, you know, in this example, your business has grown in your ability, so you think that you can raise your average project value, you know, you do some forecasting and you think, yeah, we, you know, it was 1,091 last year, but maybe this year, I think we could do 1,500, right? Because of other services, because of your pricing going up, whatever you feel. Well, now if you assume that and forecast that, not assume, if you forecast that you think your average project value is going up, now you only need 133 projects applied. So now we only have to send out 266 quotes, assuming we still win at 50%. So we just made our job easier. Now we don't have to send out 400 quotes to double our business. Our pricing is going up, so we have to send out less quotes. That means that those 40 proposals a month that you had to send from up there, now you only have to do 27. 27 proposals a month. The reason why reverse engineering is so effective is because if I just told you, can you do 400 proposals this year? You might say yes. You might say, I don't know. You might say no shot. But if you reverse engineer it into smaller base camps, okay, can I do 27 quotes a month in my season? One a day, basically, right? That's going to make your job a lot easier. So a business owner needs to analyze literally what I just said. Oops. Can I send out one proposal a day with my current partner? Here's a good question to ask. Okay, I'm forecasting that we're going to raise our average product value from 1,091 to 1,591 or whatever it is. But what if I can't? What if we get, you know, halfway through the year and our average project value isn't that much bigger? Maybe it's only like 1,250. How will I make up the difference to get to the end goal, the Mount Everest of this year, which is $200,000 in sales? Because now we have to make some adjustments, right? So a couple options. Can I raise my closing rate? So instead of winning half of the quotes that I send out, can I maybe do 65%? What would that look like? If I win 65% of my quotes, now I don't have to send out as many, right, to get my 200,000. You also would reduce the number of leads you need coming in to be able to do that. And then the last one here, maybe there's a low cost, like low cost to you, value added service that you can put in your business. So if you're like me and you're striking away, a low cost service, some sort of pressure washing, right? Can you do that? Some sort of signage work, something that's not going to cost you a lot of money, but will allow you to raise your average project value. Because if you have a lead coming in who wants your core service, right, maybe patching, seal coating, whatever it is, it's not that much harder to give them a value-added service for a little bit of extra revenue because you already have that lead with you. Right? So that's something you could consider as well. So the whole point of this, guys, is a lot of numbers here. Right? We're using a smaller size business. But the whole point of this is take what you're trying to accomplish, reverse engineer into small steps, daily steps, monthly targets, because that's going to make everything so you'll be way less stressed trying to reach your goal of doubling your business or whatever the goal is if you have actionable steps. So literally for me, this would look like, you know, a proposal a day. Right? So if you decide to do your quotes on Fridays, I have to send out 5 quotes today. And if I do that, with these forecasted numbers, I'm going to hit my goal. I'm going to climb Everest. This approach is also going to help you make better purchasing decisions. And the reason why I put that in the slide is, again, I work with a lot of smaller size striping companies, like under $250,000, guys that are looking to grow. And over half of them, at some point when I chat with them or when we're in the academy, they will say something like, yeah, I'm thinking about buying a seal coat rig. Right, so they're striping, they're doing $100,000, and they're like, yeah, I want to go buy a $30,000 seal coat tank. Okay, cool. Like, why you want to do that? And the reason why is because they want to make more money, right? But if you reverse engineer your steps into being profitable, you might realize that buying a $30,000 piece of equipment, as nice as they are on that floor out there, to grow your $100,000 business might not be the most effective use. That's not the best way to reach your base camp. Maybe you'll still double your business, but you spent a crap ton of money to do it. So, a lot of smaller size companies, and I'm guilty of this too. I'll see equipment or some sort of service offering that a client asks us for. Hey, do you do this? Hey, do you do this service? My first reaction is I want to help them, right? So my reaction is to say, yeah. Like to this day, my company does not seal parking lots because it wasn't worth it for us to make that investment when we could still put so much into our striker. But I feel tempted to if somebody asks us, hey, can you seal our parking lot? I want to tell them yes, right? And so an emotionally driven business owner might go, well, I've got a sale here waiting, so I'm going to go buy that seal tank that I saw before. But instead, reverse engineering your targets and what you're actually trying to do in your business by asking, what does this actually look like to get there? It's going to prevent you from making some poor choices, whether that's additional equipment, additional services, with the goal of chasing revenue. If you're a company making under 7 figures, like a 6-figure company, you generally don't need to go buy a ton of new equipment or offer different services to get where you're trying to go with your sales numbers. It's usually way more effective, profitability-wise, to focus on lean into the thing that you're already doing and do it well. I'm concluding with this, because we talk about sales here today, right? This is a really actionable way to reverse engineer your sales goals, but there is not a single part of your business that cannot be reverse engineered. So, if it's a sales goal, we just ran through some hypothetical species stuff here, but maybe you have a goal of, your workforce for the upcoming season. Like, you have 5 guys last year, and you think, well, now I think I need 8 people this year, right? So now you can reverse engineer. How are you going to do that? How are you going to find those potential people? What positions are you going to put them in? What time of year are you going to plug them into your company? Anything in your business, any part of your business can be reverse engineered. I'm super paranoid about staying on time, and my phone still says Pacific time. It's 2:30, right? Yeah. It's not 11:35. Okay. I'll spend a little bit more time on this one because this one's near and dear to my heart. When I started working with my business coach, my time management was atrocious. And I thought it was actually okay, but our very first coaching session, he's like, no, bro, you need some work to do. So I call this the downside of the headless chicken strategy. If you're a business owner, have you ever felt like this running around with your head cut off?
It's like looking in the mirror.
Like looking in the mirror. Oh man, where'd your head go? It's gone. Yeah, I like this. He's flapping his wings so fast that when he actually came off the feather came off his wing there. This is how I felt 2018, 2019, and part of 2020. I felt like I was just doing everything, man. Like working my face off. I was doing sales, I was doing operations, I was trying to train people, I was doing all of our Google ads, I was doing our website, I was doing it all. And like I said, I'm as close to ADHD as possible. Maybe I am ADHD. But I felt I was being really effective because I'm doing all this stuff and I'm doing it quick. But this was me, running around with my head cut off. If you're a smaller sized business, you have to do a lot of stuff. Is anyone here a one-man or one-woman operation? Kind of? Yeah. Okay. Maybe like a labor or something to help you?
Lots of different hats.
Lots of hats, yeah. Anyone here have like 3 or less employees? Yeah, okay, 3 or less, yeah. Who's got like more than 10 employees? Ooh, you guys get your hands from. This will help you. Even if you have more than 10 employees, I'm not going to assume, but like I have more than 10 employees, and I still am doing things in my business that I shouldn't be doing. I still wear a lot of these hats. Larger business owners, you don't have to wear nearly as much because now you plug people in to do the things that you used to do. But if you are wearing a lot of hats in your business, I think it's massively critical to understand, where do I put my time? Because even if you have 10 employees, there's a good chance they're tugging at your shirt a lot, right? Need your help. Or you might feel like you're plugging holes sometimes in your business. Like you have to be everywhere at all times, flapping your wings like a headless chicken. So otherwise, if you don't know where to focus your time, you're going to make choices that simply feel like the right thing to do. So what that looked like for me in my business was like, I think I should wake up today and do sales. I think I need to sell some jobs. Or wake up. I think I should schedule my guys today. Because usually I do it on Mondays. Yeah, I'm going to schedule the guys today. And I would do that. I would wake up and decide what's the biggest fire I should put out today. Where should I flap my wings? The other consequence, if you don't know where to focus your time, is you might just be so tired of wearing all these hats, decision fatigue, you might just pick the easiest task to do that day. Because you're like, I don't have the bandwidth, you know, I gotta do some sales, I gotta schedule the guys, I gotta follow up with clients, I gotta do some other stuff. But I'm just gonna upload some receipts or do something really simple because, you know, that's all I have the bandwidth for. Don't be this guy. Thought I'd throw that in there. That's what it feels like sometimes. We're juggling a ton of stuff. I literally never noticed that one of those is on fire before. That poor guy. Oh my goodness. Anyways, I'm going to talk about this, and there's a good chance this is not my idea. I don't know where this originally came from, but I'm going to tell you right now, this exercise is annoying. It was for me because my attention isn't always good. This is probably the world's most eye-opening exercise for how you spend your time. And in a good way, I'm challenging you to try it. I tried it. I can only do it a day. I literally was like, this is annoying. Try it for a few days. But here's the exercise. If you have like a watch, this is super easy, Fitbit or something. Set an alarm for every 15 minutes your watch buzzes. And then carry with you a notepad. You can do it on your phone too. I'm usually a phone guy. Just write down what you did in the last 15 minutes before your watch buzzed. Just do this on a work day, right? A normal work day for yourself. I guarantee when you look back on your day, you're going to learn some interesting things about how you spend your time that day, right? Because I thought I was, you know, really efficient and focused. No. If you write down what you did 4 times an hour, what you did in the last 15 minutes, you'll probably cry, like I did. Because it turns out I was all over the place. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that my time was all over the place because I never analyzed it. In one day, literally, that's all I could do. I was so fed up after a day. I was like, my gosh, the amount of time that I wasted is shocking. And not even just time wasted, I mean like, not just like surfing Instagram, I would put that down too if I was doing it. But like even business-related tasks that I was doing during the day, sometimes I would do 6 different things in 15 minutes. Like, we can't be intentional and grow our businesses if we're doing 6 things in 15 minutes. You can't be intentional in 2.5 minutes for a task. So if you try this, I encourage you to, let me know what you find. Everyone who's done my academy, I've challenged them to do it too. It's shocking what you'll find. So I'm going to talk about something else that's really important here in this core topic. There's one other exercise that we'll kind of go through that you can do. Well, I strongly encourage you to do. If you're only going to do one exercise from what I'm blabbing about today, it'll be the one in about 10 minutes. But before I get to that, I just want to talk about the value of your time. Does anybody know who Thomas Keenan is from Apex? No, that's fine. He's just a guy. He's just a guy who wrote a book. He wrote a book that everyone who joins my academy actually buy them a copy of this book. It's a fantastic book. Thomas Keenan is his name. And he talks a lot about us as business owners, even if we have employees, where we spend our time. And he equated everything that we do in our business to a dollar value. Like, literally one of 4 dollar values. So $10 an hour, $100 an hour, $1,000 an hour, and then tasks that are worth $10,000 an hour. Those $10,000 an hour tasks, those are like the actual meaningful things that are important in your life, like spending time with your family, being there for your kids, that sort of thing. So I'm just going to go through the first 3 here for business purposes. But he basically says everything you do in your business can fall into one of those buckets, he calls them, 10, 100, 1,000. And so if you start looking at what you do in your business, as a business owner, as an operations manager, or salesperson, you might start to find your time is being put into some of those $10 an hour buckets. So here is an example of what some of those $10 an hour tasks look like. So this doesn't mean that you pay somebody $10 an hour to do this. What this means is these are tasks in any asphalt business that are basically like mandatory tasks, right? Like you have to invoice, you have to schedule at some point, you have to update your customers. Data entry, invoicing, collections, AP, AR, repairing equipment, cleaning your trucks. Business owners might find themselves doing some of those things, right? Because you might feel like I'm the best at it. For me, it was invoicing. As weird as that sounds, I actually don't like invoicing. But like 2019, 2020, I was convinced I was the only person qualified to invoice. I don't know why, I just felt that way. So I held on to that task, and I would do the invoice. And I felt like, well, it's not taking me that much time, and I'm the quickest at it. I could get my wife Robin to do it, I could get Danny to do it, but I'm gonna do it. And so I was putting my time into one of these $10 an hour tasks. Right? You notice the one thing I put on here at the very last is this one. Is anyone here, this is not, don't be embarrassed to put your hand up, it's okay. To this day, I will still go out to the field on occasion with my guys. But is anyone here in your asphalt business working in the field, sealing, striping? Yeah, so to some extent we all do, right? It might be uncomfortable to hear, and again, this doesn't mean that you pay your people $10 an hour, but producing work for your asphalt company, that is a $10 an hour task. So what that means is there are higher dollar value tasks that can generate more revenue and actually drive your business forward than you, as the business owner or operations manager, being in the field. So I'm going to show you an example of what a $100 an hour tasks look like. So these, I only put 4. I think in his book he only puts 4 as well. These 4 tasks alone will drive your business forward way quicker than you're doing any of those $10 an hour tasks. Right? So if you're like me and you find yourself married to the idea of invoicing because you just feel like you have to, that time that I spent invoicing, had I put it into one of these, I would have driven my business forward quicker. Right? Sales, marketing, managing employees. If you don't have employees and you're terrified of hiring like I am, or I was, sorry, we'll talk about that in the next thing. But that's a high dollar value task. Because if you can successfully manage and engage employees, guess what? They can do all that stuff for you. It's great if you do it well. Then there's $1,000 an hour tasks. I have 5 of them. These are examples of things that as business owners we gotta do. We have to do these. And the reason why a lot of us don't, especially if we're a smaller company, is because we feel like we gotta do these ones. Like these, I gotta get these done, right? Or even these ones. But these ones are the ones that actually drive the business. Number 1, literally anything that helps you work on your business rather than in it is a $1,000 an hour task. So if you're spending your time, your precious time as a business owner, doing something that works on the foundation of your business, that is worth more than you doing any of these or those.
It's interesting. The whole presentation was about that last slide.
Was about what, sir?
The last slide. Last slide. We had,
This one here?
yeah, working on the video.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, man. Like, when I was growing my business, like, I was still in the field a lot, right? 2019, 2020, I was still doing a lot of those tasks. I was still selling. Those are important things. Selling is really important if you want to grow your business. Presumably, that's why we're here today, to talk about how to grow our business. But is it more important than these? Not even close. From first-hand experience, I can tell you, not even close. The second thing I have there, designing systems and processes in your business. Spending your time designing SOPs, standard operating procedures, might be the most boring thing in the world to you, creating SOPs, but that will literally drive your business significantly more forward to growing and scaling than any of the things in the last 2 slides. From first-hand experience, I love SOPs. I used to hate them. I love them now. If you don't have any SOPs, I'm finding that really incredible. Similar to that third thing, recording video training. Does anyone here do video training? You do? I love it. That's awesome. Something one of my business coach worked with me on right near the start. Literally the easiest thing to do in the world in this day and age, because guess what? You've got a video camera right there. Video training for your employees and putting that in a central system, whether it's an app or a folder or whatever, for your employees to learn how to do their job. Massive. A lot of people, especially younger workforce, I'm a millennial, right? They respond well to video training. And it takes like very little time. It doesn't have to be a high production thing. But if you can spend your time creating video training, so for my company, it was literally like, for some reason, my guys just couldn't figure out how to paint curbs. It was just a thing. They just kept messing it up, weren't comfortable doing it. So we have a video now. our software. This is how you paint a curb. We also have a written SOP how to do that. But that video training for how to paint curves and how to strike curves didn't take long. But we have that. Fourth thing, exactly what we're doing here the last 2 days. Seminars, conferences, and workshops. Man, the stuff I've learned, I went to 4 here the last 2 days. Like, just knocked my socks off. Those things will help you greatly grow your business. So if you can, not justify, that's the wrong word. We might justify not going to events and workshops and sessions and learning and education and investing in ourselves and in our employees because we're like, we're too busy. I think we're all kind of fortunate now because it's January, so most of us are kind of slowing down. Unless you're in snow removal, then it's not slowing down. But investing into these things will help you massively grow and scale. And then I put the last one, working with a business coach. That helped me tremendously, man. I started working with a guy named Mike Claudio in 2020. Skyrocketed my business. It cost me a lot of money, but it helped me tremendously. So those are some examples of $10, $100, and $1,000 an hour tasks. Now we get to the really good stuff. And again, if there's one thing we do, or you guys do as an exercise here, you won't be able to do it here today because it's going to take some time, but I'd like to walk through it with you. Time blocks. This is the success of, one of the successful methods of countless business owners, not just in our industry, but guys like Elon Musk. I'm not a big Elon Musk fan, for the record, but like that dude literally is involved in 16 companies. Like I can barely get my crap together for mine alone, my one company some days. Somehow Elon Musk managed to do 16. And this is how he does it. He's been very open about his calendar, his time blocks, how he does it. Does anyone here use time blocks and use a calendar where they block off parts of their day? You do? Okay, come show us. No, just joking. One person. That's okay. I mean it when I say no matter how big your business is, or if you're not a business owner, no matter what you're doing as far as your job in the company, this will help you massively understand how much time you're spending in your tasks. And instead of doing what I used to do, which was do 6 things at once, 12 tabs open on my computer, this will help you focus in a lot. So here's the exercise. We're going to manage your time better by creating time blocks. I literally just picked the first 21 things that popped in my brain. Okay? That's all I could fit with the font size, and I didn't want to change it. So here's the exercise. And before I get into this, I will say one thing. This is not so much, when done properly, this is not so much of an exercise as it is a way for you to drastically change the way you value your time. Okay? This is not just one thing you do once and like, okay, I did the time blocking exercise. If you actually do this and implement it into your day-to-day business, as business owners or whatever task is, you will operate this way continuously. Like to this day, I still time block my time. So here's the goal. Write down all of the tasks that you currently do in your business, or things that you should do in your business, but you're not, because you don't have the time. Okay? So I just wrote down 21 things. This would be like an example of a really small company, because remember, small business owners, they got to wear a lot of these. So they have to do things like quotes. I wasn't going to network events, but maybe you write that down because somebody told you should be networking with people. So you write that down. I should be doing that. Hunting for commercial work, sales follow-ups, CRM process, invoicing, referral partner work, scheduling client updates, inventory, purchasing, equipment preventive maintenance, paying the bills, quality inspections on job sites. If you have employees, we're going to get into this. Weekly team meeting, huge. Budgeting, P&L review, social media work, content creation, client newsletters, Google Ads, performance reviews for your employees. Literally, that's the first 21 things I came up with. I just wrote them down. Right? So yours will be different, right? If you have lots of employees, maybe you have sales guys, you don't need to do quotes anymore. That's cool. You don't need to write that down on your task list. I would encourage you, less is more. Like you don't want to write down 50 things. Because if you write down 50, you're not going to have time to do it. But write down the important ones. I'm not going to give you a number. I think 21 would be probably at the high end. But what should you be doing on a consistent basis in your business? Once we have them written down, you're going to assign to them a frequency. Daily, weekly, bi-monthly, or monthly. Literally yesterday, somebody told me bi-monthly does not mean what I think it means. I thought bi-monthly was twice a month. Am I wrong? Is it every 2 months? Must be a Canadian thing, because like everyone there says bi-monthly is twice a month. So I screwed up. Don't look at this as bi-month, look at it as twice a month. I should have changed it. Right TM, what's that?
That'd be bi-weekly.
That's bi-week, is it bi-weekly?
Every 2 weeks.
But that's not twice a month though, see, that's where my brain is going.
But so you can see why bi-monthly would be every 2 months.
Bi-monthly, every 2 months.
Bi-weekly is every 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're right, so why, I gotta, forget it, whatever. Right TM, twice monthly. Bi-weekly, whatever it is. So here's what that looked like. So let's just say you're a really small company. This might be a little bit of an extreme example, but you're like, you know what, it's important for me in my business, I'm a one-man band. It's important for me to send out quotes quickly to my clients, right? So maybe that's something you value a lot. So that might look like, for you, I do my quotes every day. That's like something I do in my business, because I want my clients to get quotes quickly, so I tell them, you know, I can do your quote very quickly. So every day, Monday to Friday, you time block the time to do your quotes. Same thing with your CRM or your client relationship management software. If you update that, those two tasks kind of go hand in hand. So maybe in this hypothetical example, you write down your weeklies. Okay, once a week, I'm going to do commercial bid work, commercial bid hunting. I'm going to follow up with old sales leads once a week. Friday, that's my Friday. Follow up Friday. I still do that to this day. Follow up with the big clients. Invoicing, if you have to do that, okay, I do that once a week. Scheduling, client updates, paying your bills. Quality inspections, weekly team meeting, obviously that's a week, once a week. And then once a week you decide, okay, I'm going to do social media work. Right? Now you do your twice monthly or bi-monthly, whatever it is. Referral partner work, so I'm going to work on that twice a month. Equipment preventative maintenance, if you don't have anyone to do that, maybe in this example you don't. And then I'm going to work on my Google Ads every 2 weeks. Update them, analyze the numbers, spend some time doing that. Then finally your monthlies. Networking events. That'd be a little ambitious maybe, go to 1 a month. Well, it would be for me because I'm in rural Canada, so I don't have network events to go to, at least not in person. Maybe once a month you decide I'm going to work on those processes. Budget some time, work on my SOPs, process creation, video training, inventory, purchasing, reviewing your P&L, budgeting, forecasting, things like that. Client newsletter, performance reviews for employees. Whatever it is for you. So when you're all done, you get something that looks like this. For you. This is for you and your business. So you take the core things that you need to do in your business, as a business owner, or as an operations manager, or as a sales manager, and you assign frequency to the tasks. At this point, we haven't decided how much time we're putting into them, right? We haven't decided how much hours we're going to actually put in this. We just know we're going to do it once a week, right? So that's the next part of this. You're going to create a rough draft of your time blocks. So, like, if you have to use a paper calendar or pen and paper, I won't judge you. You can do it. I would strongly encourage you not to. Digital calendars are so easy to use. We all have them on our phones now. But the idea is here maybe to sketch it out. You do it on paper, right? Maybe that'll make your life easier. But what we're going to do here is we're going to put all of those blocks into a monthly calendar. So in this picture, we only see a week. I couldn't get it bigger than that. So those weekly tasks that you saw in here, scheduling, client updates, paying your bills, we're going to pick a day to do them, right? So paying your bills, Wednesday afternoon. Here, put it there. That's not what this says, but just hypothetically. And then we're going to put approximately how much time we're going to spend doing that task. Now, the reason why I was so hesitant to do this when I started working with my coach is because I was like, well, I don't know how long it's going to take. Right? I don't know how long it takes me to do invoicing. I don't know how long it's going to take. You're not going to get it right the first time. And that's okay. So what I mean by that is if you allot 6 hours a day, 6 hours in a week to do your quotes, say you do your quotes on Thursdays or whatever, you might quickly find after 1 week, oh, that's not enough time. I gotta spend away my time. Or that's too much time. I was able to do it in 2 hours. That's okay. We're trying to find the holes in our schedule. So you put that into a whole month calendar, so all of those tasks that are daily, you're gonna see them every single day, Monday to Friday, in a time block, whether it's an hour, 2 hours. I don't have this written here. I grabbed the wrong slide. When I do the academy, I actually have it here. Don't fill your entire week and your month with time blocks. That's like, what I mean is don't have every single hour, Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, that block. Because if you've run a business for more than a second, you know that crap happens, right? Stuff comes up. You need flexibility in your schedule. So when it's all said and done, you have something that looks like this. This is not my calendar either. This is actually my business coach's. But this is kind of what it looks like. So I do it the same way he does. I actually put my entire life into my Google Calendar. I don't separate my work calendar from my personal. I don't think anyone should do it unless you really want to. I think there should be harmony in your personal life and your business life. But anyways, that's for you to decide if you're comfortable doing that. But you have these blocks now in your schedule where you have recurring tasks, daily, weekly, twice monthly. And when you have that, and you assign time, you can now intentionally put yourself into doing that task instead of waking up in the morning like I used to do with the headless chicken and decide this is the biggest thing I need to do this week. I'm going to do this. Because chances are you're not going to pick the right thing. You won't. Not only will you pick the wrong thing to do when you wake up in the morning, but you're not going to know where your time is actually going or how much time you're spending in those time blocks. Right? So again, to this day, my whole calendar is blocked out. Not blocked in the sense that there's no time, but everything that I do has a block to it. So I now know, right, when I was the only salesperson in my company, I know how much time I need to spend doing sales because it's blocked. And then I can make adjustments. If your company's growing and you can't keep up with sales anymore and you've got all these leads coming in, you either have to raise that time block or get somebody else to help you, which we'll talk about here shortly. Does that make sense to everybody? Time blocks changed my life, man. I was annoyed when my coach said that our first call is going to be about time. I was like, well, I thought you were going to help me solve my business problems. Turns out my time was my business problem because my time was all over the place. My business was growing, but my hair was on fire, and I was juggling fire chainsaws. Wasn't good. So, if this doesn't make sense to you or anything, just reach out. Time blocks are so important. Okay, last but not least, because it's 3 o'clock. Hiring for scale. I call this you're running out of fingers to plug holes. So in a smaller sized business, these holes represent something you've got to do, right? Jobs that need to be done, employee problem here, invoicing there, whatever it is, right? That's how it feels like sometimes. We've got all these things we've got to do, right? So in order to plug those holes that are inevitably going to come in your business, we need qualified people to do. So I'm going to talk about the 3 burning employee questions. Now it sounds like most of us here have a number of employees, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this first question, but I'm going to give you something that I think will help even if you have multiple employees. How do I know when the time is right to hire? I don't know about you guys, when I hired my first employee, it was an agony. Agony over that decision. I had no idea when I should hire. And I thought if I hire somebody, I'm going to be responsible for this person's life, and if I let them down and there's not enough work, oh my gosh, I was in agony over that. So I have a simple way for you guys to know when you should hire. How do I find qualified candidates? That's a super important question in this day and age because there's a lot of unqualified ones. And then the third I'll probably spend the most time on here, which is how do I keep my employees invested and engaged. It's hard when businesses grow from nothing, like most of us here, right? Most of us here said we didn't have a business before. We learn as we go, right? We make stuff up as we go. And so when it comes to hiring and when to hire, how do I find these people? How do I keep them invested in helping me? We might just not have the experience in how to do it. And we might make unintentional decisions, or we might lack intention with our hiring, and more importantly, not just hiring, how we keep people going and keep them invested. So I'll keep this first one short. When should I hire is a question that can be answered the best, in my opinion, by asking a different question. Literally one question. Is anyone here wondering if they should hire people right now? Oh, wait, you got it all figured out. That's good. I still think this question will help you, even if you have multiple employees. I have the same question. We have an accountability chart for next year. Right? I know how many people I need, but sometimes I wonder, okay, when should I hire? This is the question. What are the revenue-producing activities in your business that I am not managing effectively right now because I'm spread too thin? What are the revenue-producing activities? about that in your business right now. Well, we're in the off season, so this might not be the best time. Ask yourself this in June, July. Are there revenue producing activities? Sales, driving sales, that's a revenue producing activity. Enough people in the field for fulfilling your projects, that's a revenue producing activity. Your marketing, your social media, ads management, things like that, those things drive revenue. Maybe not directly, but indirectly your marketing does. So if you can't manage those effectively right now, or when you get to June when it's busy season, and you can't effectively get all those revenue producing activities done, to me, it's that simple. You hire. Because you can't keep up. If you can't keep up with any of those revenue producing activities, you gotta get somebody. Expressed another way, I like this way too. If you are too busy to do the thing that got you busy. So what that means is, I know this gentleman over here said he didn't have employees, so he's probably doing it all himself. So when I started for restriping, I was the striper, man. So I was selling the jobs, I was doing the jobs, I was invoicing the jobs, I was doing it all. And then I got too busy to do the thing that got me busy. I'm really good at sales, that's what got me busy. Well, I couldn't keep up with sales because I was striping from 8 p.m. to 8 in the morning, 5 days a week. I couldn't keep up. I was too busy to do the thing that got me busy. Yeah.
So, in that aspect, with the too busy to do things that got you busy, you would then hire the $10 things that could offset that time.
That would be an effective strategy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Do you know why? Because I literally call this session growing your business. That's why we're here. We want to grow, we want to scale, do more business, right? Those expensive tasks, the $100,000 tasks, that's what's going to actually do it. So if you can unload those $10 an hour tasks, including working in the field,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
In order for you to get back to doing sales, you had to find someone to do the lines.
100%.
So,
This
the
is-
lines is 10, the sales is 100.
Exactly. Boom! You got it.
To answer your
Make me
question,
happy.
when to hire, then, I mean, to answer that question, plain and simple, if you're not spending all of your time in the $1,000,
I like that about you.
it's time to hire.
Ooh, I like that one. You hear that? If you're not spending all your time with so literally, full disclosure, I'm still doing $100 an hour tasks in my business.
Which
I
means
hate
you
it.
should hire.
What's that?
Which means you should hire.
Bingo. I do need to hire. I need to train people I have to take more responsibility into those $100 an hour tasks. Well said. Yeah. Yeah.
I just retired myself last week because I got rid of all my tax.
Got rid of all your.
All that stuff you're talking about, I'm doing it.
His daughter retired.
Yeah.
You're retired?
Yeah, he is right there.
You're here just to make me. Why am I up here? You should be up here. Dude, I'm 32. I ain't retiring anytime soon. Why am I teaching this?
I'm 61.
You don't look a day over 60. Good job. Just a joke. But yeah, this is what it comes down to for when to hire. So yeah, like I said, even if you have multiple employees, like you might have 10 employees. At this moment, we have 25. We go bigger in winter because we got snow. Like, when I look down in my business and look at the departments, operations, which for us is snow right now, sales, the admin, if things aren't working out that way, and whoever's in charge of that department, whoever's in charge of my operations can't successfully complete all of our snow removal projects, we need to hire somebody, because he can't keep up. In smaller businesses, if it's just you doing it, if you're too busy to do it, you're too busy to do the thing that got you busy, it's not hire. How do I find these employees? No one wants to work anymore. That is a problem in this country, right? Unqualified workers. It is in Canada too. I just know you guys had like the stimmy checks, what was called. Everyone was riding the stimmy. Canada had something similar. It didn't sound like it was as bad. It was called the CERB. It was called riding the CERB. Something, it was something benefit, I don't know. Anyways, I chose this image because if you go on Facebook groups in asphalt, you know, at like line striping, paving, this is like the face of the guys who are griping on Facebook right now. Oh, I can't find anybody, right? And maybe you've had that too. Like you've gone to onboard people, like people don't even show up to the interview, or one guy shows up to the interview and doesn't show up to the job on the first day, or one guy you hire shows up to the job on the first day, but he's high, right? Or he doesn't make it to the first coffee break. And that's what causes people to feel like this, like, "Ugh, I can't find anybody." So I want to help you guys. How do we hire people? We look at the NFL. Because the NFL solves all of our problems. Sorry. It's okay. So remember we talked about, I just want to talk about hiring in the football, in the National Football League. Obviously, you know, NFL doesn't hire players. Well, I guess in a way they do. They get contracts. But if you remember, like we discussed, NFL players, you have 11 guys on offense, right, and 11 guys on defense. So to run your NFL football team every Sunday, you know, my 49ers only need 22 guys. Is anyone here a 49ers fan? Yes!
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. We're going to win on Sunday.
They beat Dallas.
Yeah, we did. Sticky Dallas. Is anyone here a Dallas fan? Okay, good. I'm not apologizing. Okay, anyways, 11 guys on offense, 11 on defense. That's 22 people an NFL team needs. Because we don't want our offensive guys to also play on defense. That'd be stupid. Do you know how many people are active on a game day in the NFL? Why'd you say 60? You're very close. Well, you just, no, I got a moment of panic because I thought, did I get it wrong? You sounded so confident. 48. Right, so that means 48 guys can wear equipment and put on the San Francisco jersey every Sunday. Right? So we only have 11 guys on the field. That means there's 37. I don't mind doing math in front of people. 37 guys in equipment ready to play standing on the sideline. Okay? There's a total of 53 players in total on the active roster. That means there's 5 guys who are on the roster but don't get to dress. They sit in the booth or sit playing clothes. They can't play. They also have 16 players on their practice squad. NFL teams have something called a practice squad. That means that other teams can't steal them, but they also aren't allowed to play because they're just on the practice squad. It's like reserves. In addition to that, they also draft 7 players, at least. Well, there's 7 rounds of the draft every April. Right? They draft college kids. We don't know how that works. Do you think that we can learn something in our business from how NFL teams approach people? Like, do they wait until they need somebody to bring them in? No. Like, it would be stupid if they're like, well, we only need 11 guys at a time in the offense defense, so we have 22 guys, go do it. And then the moment somebody gets injured, oh my gosh, we got a hole to fill, right? Like, we got to do something. They don't do that. You have 48 people active on game day. 48. So adopt the mindset in your business, even if you don't actively need people. Like it's January, you're probably not hiring people today, but have the mindset, I'm always hiring. Even if you're not hiring, you're always looking to fill your pipeline with people. So we have a sales pipeline, right? Everyone talks about sales pipelines a lot. You also have an employee pipeline. That means you have people in your system, in your pipeline, in your reserves that you don't need on the field right now. You don't need them hired in your company, but you need qualified people ready, right? You will not make reactive hiring decisions. So what that means is if you get to busy season, your business blows up. You're like, oh, Dan, I need 3 more people. What do? Go on Facebook, go on Indeed, right? I'm kind of like, those, you might get good people on there, but it's way too easy for unqualified people. Unqualified people are surfing Indeed all the time. The people that you actually need to drive your business forward, who fit your values, who will help you grow your business, are generally not looking for work. Okay? Qualified people are rarely looking for work. They already have something. They're already, because an employer knows if they have a qualified person, they're going to try and keep that person. They're not going to let them go. The trick is to know who those people are, have them in your pipeline, so that when something happens with who they're working for, right, when they are ready to make a change, they will think of you. And we'll talk about how you can build that pipeline. This is one that I got burnt on in a bad way. If you don't have an employee pipeline of qualified people, if you don't have that mindset, we're always hiring, you might hesitate to fire somebody in your company who doesn't fit your values, who isn't producing, who isn't performing. I lived this. I had people who didn't align with our core values, who weren't good qualified workers, or maybe they were good in the field, but they were a cancer on the team. They were bringing the culture down. And I felt like I couldn't get rid of them because I had nobody to replace them. pretty simple ways that you can put this mindset, we're always hiring. Laser line painting is always hiring. When I get asked, are you hiring? We're always hiring. Tell people that. Number one, put that into your marketing strategy. So put that on your website, put that in your social media. Like, literally on your website, you should have a section in there about apply now. Even if you don't need something, even if you don't have a specific role that you need at this moment, put it on your website. Get people thinking about, hey, I want to do striping at that laser company. I heard they're hiring. Go on their website, put in a resume or whatever it is your process is. Number two, I am a huge believer in referrals. For everything, sales referrals. But you can actually get excellent employees, qualified people, sent to you from referrals. So what that looks like is your vendors, your subcontractors, even your clients. Like if you have a good relationship with your vendors, your seal coat supplier, your asphalt plant, your paint supplier, so in my case it was my business rep at Sherwin-Williams, like if they know who you are, and they know you, they like you, they trust you, they're like, yeah, I like those guys. They will have no problem referring you qualified people because they like you. So literally with our Sherwin-Williams rep, it was his nephew, a young kid. He didn't end up coming to us, but I asked him, it's like, hey, we're growing like a weed, I need people. Do you know anyone who'd be willing to fit our values that we could train from the ground up? He's like, yeah, my nephew. So just putting that bug in people's ears, your vendors, your subs, clients. If your client likes you, right? Your biggest client likes you, and you go to your biggest client, you go, I love you, biggest client, you're my favorite client, I love you. But I got this problem. Because I'm so good at what I do and keeping you happy, I'm growing. And I need people. And I'm concerned that if I don't get more people, I'm not going to be able to help you at the same level. I'm committed to helping you, but I need more people. Do you know anyone you think would, like, you know me, do you know anyone who would fit the values that we have? You know, ex-employees, like people who have moved on, friends, family members. Simple conversation to have. But if your client likes you, and you tell them, I need people in order to help people like you, they're going to want to help you out. Best thing as well, you got to be a little careful with this, that's why I saved it for last. Your current employees. If your current employees like you, they're going to want their friends. Hopefully, hopefully not family members, because this is where you got to be careful. Get two friends or family members working together. But one of our best employees right now, Dylan, was referred to us by his friend Travis. Dylan was literally digging holes for the last 10 years. He was getting paid like nothing. He was actually working for a really shyster company. But Travis, who's on our staff, one of our best operators, told him, man, you gotta get out of that. You gotta get out of working with that guy. Go talk to Cam. He did. Hired him that day. And now, Dylan went from digging holes, he's now a qualified striping technician, he can do jobs by himself. He's now, we got him into snow removal as well. He had no skid steer experience. He's now one of our skid steer operators. Next week he'll be running a loader, which is pretty cool. And all that came because Travis said, hey, you've got to get out of there. We're talking to Cam. So tell your employees that, offer your employees a referral bonus. If you know somebody who, you want to work with, you think would fit our values, give them a gift card. $100 if you can refer us a qualified person. And they work out for 3 months. Last thing here is document your company journey in your marketing. This is, man, I could do a whole 2 hours on this alone because our industry needs this desperately. But if you can put into your marketing who you are as a business, what your values are, what projects you're working on, how you do things, your process, like how your company does things compared to somebody else, who they might be working with if they came in to work with you. So what that means is like showcasing your current employees. Right? That tells people who they might be potentially working with. So instead of just clicking on a button on Indeed, because your company name sounds cool, now they'll actually see in your social media or your website, like, okay, this company, Laser Line Painting, has core values. This is what they're about. I know something about these guys. People, employees, they want to know who you are. And when I say you, I mean the business owner, because you steer the ship. They want to know who they're working with. They want to know what you value. They want to know what kind of company you're building, the vision you have. some people simply just want a paycheck, right? And I'll show you a way how you can find out from people what they want here shortly. But most people want to know, what are you building? Like, in your city, there might be tons of companies who do what you do. They might, when you get to busy season, they might all be hiring, right? But why would they come work for you? Like, what are you building? How can they grow in your company? Right? If you're clear on that, and you can relay that, communicate that to your employees, their potential employees, they will be inclined to come work with you. You will get qualified people, and you'll know right away with like how they apply, their cover letters, things like that. You will find the people who say, hey, I see what you're doing and I want to be part of it. That's how I got my operations manager. Ironically, as much as I just talked about Indeed, he applied on Indeed. But he said in his cover letter, I've been to your website. You're the only company who I've seen actually like promote their core values. He's like, that's something I think is lacking. I'm summing up his letter here. Long story short, I interviewed him in my car because Starbucks was closed. It's a funny story. And he became our operations manager. So people want to know what you're doing. This is really important. This is the third burning question here. And I think, I wish we had more time, but I'll hands down. How to get your employees to buy in. Does anyone here feel like they're struggling with that a little bit? Like, do you have employees that maybe aren't fully engaged? Not hitting their full potential, maybe? Like, you see their potential, but there's some things in the way? Here's some cool things for you. Again, I can do a whole thing about core values. I'm just a massive believer in core values. I thought core values were stupid when I started. My business coach told me, you gotta create core values. I said, what for? I think they're stupid. So if you that book that I mentioned earlier by Thomas Keenan, his entire book is about core values. When you operate with core values, you're giving people the framework or the vibe or the culture of who you are and what you do. So at our company, this is our core values. You're going to see this poster on our social media. We've talked about it on Instagram and Facebook a lot. You're going to see it on our website. Literally, it's on our home website. When I interview people, or when anybody comes into our office, literally it's this size poster. Well, maybe not quite this big. But I have this on a poster that sits behind me. So when we interview people, they see exactly who we are, what we're about. And I clearly tell people, these are our 5 core values. We talk about them like almost to the point where my employees are sick of hearing about them. That's my goal. I want them to hear these so much that they just, like, this is, live and breathe them. And I tell people, this is how we hire people, this is how we train people, and in unfortunate cases, this is how we fire people. We might have, I've had really good operators, striping and snow removal, who are incredible in equipment, but they don't align with our values. And trust me when I say this, if you have one person on your team who does not align with your core values and is dragging the team down, I don't care how big an operator they are, you've got to get rid of those people. You have to. They will drag everyone down with them. So in our company, it's no secret. This is in our marketing, our website, everywhere. But we value following the process. We always take ownership of our stuff. We work together as a team. Communication is huge for us. We're also a company that likes to innovate the way we do things. So this also spills over to our clients as well. We work with clients who value these values and who will work with us on them. In a nutshell, guys, your core values is designed to give every single employee you have the framework to answer the question, what should I do in this situation? So basically, your employees don't have an SOP for every single thing that happens in the field, right? So what I mean by that is, my guys are out striping at 3 in the morning, right? They might come to a problem in the field, and there's no clear answer on how they do it. So they basically have 2 options. One, they can do it like not that good of a job on it because they just want to go home. It's 3 in the morning. Or they lean into our core values and go, you know what? If I leave it the way this is, if I take the ownership, right? Part of our process is to deliver 100% client satisfaction. So if they're sitting there at 3 in the morning and like, I really don't want to do that thing, whatever it is, they will have their core values to go, you know what? I have to take ownership of this. And believe me, there's nothing more satisfying for me as a business owner when one of my guys tells me something about our values. Like, man, I really didn't want to do this thing. some client was barking at me because I didn't clean their parking lot the right way, he came out and was yelling at me. I wanted to just deck him, but I thought, you know what, no, I'm gonna take ownership and communicate proactively with them. It's giving your employees the how-to when there's no how-to. Yeah, huge believer in core values. Number 2, create standard operating procedures. So a standardized way in documents or video training, how we do things. So if you're having issues, mostly in the field production with quality of work, like some guys do it this way, some guys do it this way, some guys get this result, some guys get this result. Creating a standard way of doing things will greatly help you with that. Number 3, weekly team meeting. Does anyone here do a weekly team meeting? You're retired.
Well, I was saying we're not in code.
On goal, okay, you're trying though, that's good.
We try to do it.
So,
Yeah, we do weekly meetings with crew, weekly management, we got meetings.
do you feel like your weekly team meetings are effective?
For a very short term, or time.
Okay.
Like, they might, yes, for 2-3 days, and then it's,
Okay. That's, yeah.
We have weekly toolbox talks, based around safety and stuff like that. And you can watch the guys glaze over. And going forward, the plan is to get them more interactive and see what they, share what they see around them
Yeah.
to make them more engaged.
Yeah.
In the past, it's been just one person delivering the message.
Okay. I like that you use the word engaged. Because if we want our employees to do well, you know, we want to put intention into helping our employees, not just help us, but us help them. A weekly effective team meeting is so important for this. I'm going to share with you, this is what our weekly team meeting looks like at Laser. We have a structure. I'm just sharing this with you just to give you kind of an idea. I wish I could spend more time. But we start every team meeting with everyone on our team just very briefly sharing a personal or a professional win that happened in the last week. The second thing we do is we do core value demonstration, or basically we shout out specific things that employees have done over the last week that exemplified our core values. So if somebody did something, solved a client problem, or solved an issue in some other way, we relate that to our core values, and we shout them out for doing it. Number 3, we talk about our core value improvement. So over the course of business, usually in the operations department, we find things that can be improved in the field or how we do things. We would again relate that to our core values. Here's something that we can do better in our process. So my company, we have an SOP on how to restrike a parking lot. It's a little bit wordy, but it's, so maybe there's something that came up where we can now improve that process. We get feedback from the team. So one reason why our team meetings are effective in our company, we engage the employees to get feedback from them. It's not just me talking, it's not just our operations manager, we actually engage them. This is an important one, but
I would say, which is why, actually, ours probably aren't nearly effective as they could be, because it's we have like 100 employees, so it's a big group.
yeah, that's tough. Okay, so in that case, you might have to have a weekly departmental meeting, as opposed to the whole shebang. Boom. I think this one's massively important. I call it from the bridge. Give people in your company behind the scenes look at what you're doing as a business owner. Because if you're not in the field with them, they might think you're just sitting there with your boots up cashing checks. No, tell them what you're doing. Like, this is an opportunity I'm working on for next year. I'm going to NBE, gonna, you know, maybe look at a seal coat rig, whatever. We also give people a 1-week look ahead. That means like, this is what's happening in the next week. We incorporate our safety meeting, and then we always open it up before and after. So I try to do as little bit of talking as possible in our team meetings, because I want us, our employees, to be engaged with it. Last thing, gosh, we're gonna have enough time to go through this. 20 minutes. Attach every single thing your employees do to a clear standard or metric. I struggle with this one. I'm gonna give you an example. You ever had this? Guys, the trailer has to be kept clean. Looks awful, clean it up. That's a problem statement because we're not being specific. There's no clear standard. So in this example, put a clear standard or metric to it. At the end of every shift, I want a minimum of 5 minutes spent with the 2 crew members on that truck. Remove all the garbage, place your tools back into the pack-up bins, and replace the replenishables. I want you to spend a max of 15 minutes. Obviously, say it a little bit more kinder than do this. So this is a clear standard. So now, crew 1 might do a really good job cleaning up the truck and trailer, never a problem. But crew 2 are slobs, right? There's dirty people that just don't care as much. Well, now there's a clear standard. Everyone has to do this way. Another example. I'm gonna skip by that one. Salesperson. Part of your job is to make connections on LinkedIn. You're a new salesperson, I want you to find people in our market on LinkedIn. I'm a big believer in LinkedIn myself. And make sure you're doing those consistently. That's not a clear standard or metric. So instead, you can go to your sales, your estimator, and say, okay, I want you to send out 5 LinkedIn connections a day. Okay? And then remember how we talked about writing content? I can help you with that. 3 posts a week. One of your posts can be what's happening in our company. A second post could be a new project that you sold. And a third post on LinkedIn could be a pro tip for customers. Help them out, give some value. So instead of just giving a vague statement, we're putting specifics into it. And the number 4, this is a long one. You'll have to review this one if you want the slide presentation or snap a picture of it. This is a big one, right, in our industry. Guys, why did it take so long to do that job? It took way too long. This is a long paragraph, but I wanted to try and give you an idea of how you can give a clear standard or metric to it, right? So basically, give them a pre-job report. Hey guys, we think this is going to take you 26 man-hours on this route. It's a bigger job. So if you are able to complete this to 100% satisfaction, like client satisfaction, in under 26 hours, and it passes, in our company we have a TQI, total quality inspection. We're prepared to give you a gift card if you go under that, but you have to pass TQI, so you can't have it together. So now they know, okay, this is the standard, 26 hours, that's what's being expected. You have to be a little careful with this one, but you get the idea. The last thing, literally a minute? Yeah, a minute. Anyone know who Brian Hess is? Pavement Group? Nobody? Oh, he's my idol, so I just love him. He started the Pavement Group. Anyways, I just copied this form from him, or adapted it from my company. Every single employee that ever comes into laser line painting has to fill out a Google form. And I'd be happy to share you the link. I've got it in the slide here, so if you get a copy of it. The Google form, they can fill it out on their phone, and it allows me to understand what they're trying to accomplish by applying to my company. So I ask them questions like this, in one word, I don't know if you guys can see it, in one word, the thing that I need most from my employment with you is this. I encourage them to explain, right? I capture, okay, what are the 3 things that motivate me as an employee? I get these guys to write it down. Here are my triggers that I have when it comes to work. These are the things that triggers me. I'll push back on these 3 things. If you have the pleasure of hiring me, here are 3 things that you can expect from me. In return, these are the 3 things that I expect from my employer. The following personal and professional goals are important to me. Write down as many as you want on our form. I possess the following 3 strengths to help me achieve my goals. A few more here. Here's some areas that I can use to improve them. Here are 3 ways I can get support from my employer. Here are some ways that I like to be rewarded. And finally, here's some things I'd like you to know. Anything else today? When you have this information captured on a form, you have no idea how helpful it is when you can go back, whether if it's in a disciplinary setting, unfortunately, or how to encourage them, how to reward them, what's motivating them. You will get all sorts of answers to these questions if you implement something like this in your company. Specifically with this one. The following personal and professional goals. I'll tell you just right now as I'm out of time. My biggest problem is I romanticize the idea of my employees trying to do as much as possible, becoming superstars, becoming legends, production supervisors, operations guys. I see the potential in my people, and I sometimes project that on them because I want them to do well. But I have employee forms from some of our guys who say, I just want stable employment. They don't want it. So now I know to engage my employees, I don't have to promise them the moon. I just need to give them exactly what they put in their form. Similarly, if they say these are my strengths, being on time, not missing work. Guess what I can say to them if they're never on time and miss work? Hey, I want to challenge you. Remember when you onboarded and we talked about this? Is there something going on in your life that's preventing you from reaching your strength right now? Because I notice, you put timeliness on there, but we're having a bit of an issue. Gives you insight into who you're hiring, how you can help. I'd be happy to share that good form with you. Yeah, it's been super helpful. Okay, That's pretty much it. An encouraging last statement, put intention into your business. If there's anything I talked about here that doesn't make sense, come find me. I'll deal with it. If you want a copy of this slide, let me know. Happy to provide it. Is there any questions? We're over time. Oops. Is there any questions?
Remember, did you give us your contact information so we get those slides?
I have a QR code on my phone. So after, if you come with your phone instead, yeah, I'll show you. So I actually have like, I hate business cards. I have like a tappable business card. It's really cool. So like my contact, I lost it 3 hours ago. Somewhere in the last session, it's gone. I don't know.
Yeah, what service do you use for that?
It's like Dodge.
Called what?
The card I use, the Billo card, M-O-B-I-L-O. It's super cool. It's got our logo on it. Like, and it's got my name, and I just tap it on your phone, and boom, my whole profile.
I just saw yesterday, guys, one that actually sticks to your phone now.
Yes, I got one there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have moved it, stuck to your phone.
Oh, I lost that one too.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Are you on, are you on YouTube? Do you do any videos on YouTube?
Yeah, actually,
Is it captioned, do you know?
just auto-generated, like automatic, yeah. You know what, I have a friend in Texas who also needs closed captioning. So now I'm motivated, because there's two of these now. I'll work on it. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Okay, so you had those last five, you had 4 things, then did you have another? That's number 4,
Clear standard, yeah, I had 4 examples of like, how to do it. And thank you guys, I really appreciate it. I'm not done.
So you have the dot? Do you like it? I do. Yeah, like hold up the QR code and then I scan it, and I go to his whole profile. No, that's. Yeah.
It's a, it used to be the 5,000 residents, 10,000 students. I put it at 5,000 residents. University is so small.
So yeah, just click the link. When I was in the bottom,
Didn't even have your, About 1 year we had Romulus in the house out on our street. Yeah, well, it was a good time, good memories, but it was definitely, yeah, not the best. Just, it
yeah, I don't want to be. My rule is like, I'm gonna be less than 10.
Very happy. But now that I've lived here for 25 years, I am, yeah, I'm very content there. It is still,
Good dream.
it's still, it's like 5 minutes of you out of my office. And that's,
Yeah.
all your day or anything, you know, where you can sign your paycheck anymore.
Oh, that's
It's nice, you know.
got a lot of access to, I mean, with 81, yeah, it's nice,
Yeah.
Acres Town, or from east, west, side, on some part, you can go that way.
You drive?
We do, yes.
Yeah, my wife and I.
as far as I know.
Well, depends on how far.
Yeah, we probably were netting around 8 hours to get to where you are for, probably got about an hour to get to
Yeah, so I'm 24 on day 1, we just boom, right now. Yeah, it's 4 miles from my It's good.
Yeah.
I did take a picture of
Yep.